guys? Welcome back to Strong Successful Male. So for today, going to go over an email that was sent from a subscriber. It's from a guy. He's going to share his story about events that happened about 7 years ago when he was in his mid-20s. And the karma that happens to the people that hurts him dearly. He's going to share his story that while back in 7 years ago in his mid-20s, he was with this girl who eventually became his fiancée, and all the drama and BS that he put up with, but simply, like many guys, didn't know any better, and in a way enabled her behavior. But then you're going to see down the road, they get engaged, and well, one thing leads to another with a girl like this, and she ends up hurting him deeply, and hurting him deeply with someone he cares about, big time in his family. But you'll see the guy will handle it right, and down the road, later on, you're going to see karma is going to come back to bite them in the butt big time. So for those of you that like stories where the guy comes out on top, and those that hurt him are definitely get it in the end, you will enjoy this. So it starts off, he says, Hello SSM. I've been a listener to your content for quite some time, and I want to share my story with you in hopes that it helps other men that are going through the same thing. I've been a listener of yours since the very beginning of your channel during April 2020 when I saw your videos about feminism in Hollywood. Wow, dude, I remember that video. That was the video that really started promoting my channel. If you guys haven't seen it, I think it was probably my first one that I did in the car, talking all about feminism in Hollywood and how they promote that, and it's all a bunch of crap. And YouTube really promoted that. That's when the subscribers started coming in. So thank you, man, because guys like you that started following me in the beginning, what really helped me take off. Anyhow, he says, during that time, I was going through a very rough time, which I'll elaborate on later. And you helped me out. I haven't written you a story about this since I thought it would just get lost in the shuffle, as fiancés cheating seemed to be the norm these days. But just recently, karma struck my ex and the person she cheated on, who happened to be my uncle. So like you always say, on to the story. And before I forget, English is not my first language, so apologies in advance. Back in 2015, he says, I'm 33 now, I was engaged to a girl named Sam, a 32-year-old female. We literally grew up together, and as we knew each other since grade school and started dating during our senior year in high school. I knew her for around 12 years, and we generally loved each other, but then when we went to college, her ideals and morals changed. Well, that's usually how it works. They go off to college and are exposed to the liberal colleges and the feminism and all sorts of other BS, or seeing all the other girls carousel riding or something goes on. At first, I thought she was just maturing, and her newly constant nagging phase was just her way of getting me to better myself. So I did better myself. She complained about me not being fit. I went to the gym and lost 20 pounds. She complained about finances. I worked part-time and got into crypto trading. She complained about not spending time together. I planned weekly date nights. However, all my attempts to please Sam did just the opposite and somehow made her more angry. Wow, wonderful! What a wonderful relationship. Never-ending nagging. Hey, dude, that's when you usually part ways. If your girl is constantly giving you crap about everything and pretty much the whole relationship is just a bunch of drama, why the hell are you still there? I mean, only guys that don't think of themselves very valuable or don't have or have a low self-esteem put up with that crap. I'm trying to build guys up here in all aspects of their lives so that they're not going to be ever treated like this by their girl, their friends, their coworkers, their family, that they've built themselves up enough, have enough esteem that they'll tell them to pretty much, go F themselves and walk away. You should never tolerate all that crap. It's one thing if she's trying to really help you out, but no. And right here, my attempts to please her just did the opposite. Guess what? Newsflash, guys. Girls aren't attracted to men that are compliant, that they tell them what to do and they listen to them. Do you think bad boys would be compliant to girls' demands and things like that? I think not. And who do they always chase after? The bad boys. He says, even she noticed this and started to break down crying one night after she told me that I did nothing wrong, but she was still so angry with me anyway. So anyway, she's nuts, so this is another sign to cut her loose. Remember, guys, I tell you, never take advice about women from women. Most women don't understand themselves. She can't understand why she's angry. She can't understand why she's upset. And yet guys think it's a good idea to take dating advice, relationship advice from women. Most don't get it. I think you turned her off. There are other issues here, but you turned her off by being compliant and doing everything she said she wanted. We went to counseling, and it helped a little bit, and I finally began to understand what was wrong with her. She had major trust issues because of her mother cheating on her dad and leading them to divorce and eventually losing contact with her father. She also couldn't cope with how I was doing compared to her, and she began to see me as differently. I think some of that is true, as you're about to find out what happens with a loved one of his, but also I think I still stick to my theory that you were being compliant and doing what she said she wanted, which then turned her off, which happens a lot of times. This might have been the time to have given up and broke up with her, but Sam was my best friend and fiancé, so I reassured her and worked her through her problems. Dude, you should have ended with her, and I know you know this looking back, but you most certainly should have. Best friend, my butt. She wasn't treating you like a best friend. She was treating you like a freaking doormat and a pounding board. Eventually, she got into a space where she felt comfortable, and things went back to normal, though she was still a big F-ness, but that didn't really affect our relationship until later on. Gals becoming F-ness will always affect your relationship at some point. Once we graduated college, I proposed to her. Smack. Why the hell did you propose to her? This girl this damaged? This many issues? Doesn't sound like a whole lot of love in your relationship to me. And she accepted, and life was really good until she started to work with my uncle, a 58-year-old male. My uncle was supporting a politician that Sam really looked up to, so I convinced him to give her a job and have a chance to work with her girl boss idol. Remember, she's an F-nist? He agreed, and Sam joined my uncle's team in supporting the girl boss's campaign for an upcoming election. Things were all right in the beginning, but slowly she became more detached, and I got super suspicious. Always pay attention to the red flags. So one night, I decided to take a visit to their offices after hours, and I caught them fooling around in one of the stalls. She's hooking up with your uncle. Back to the daddy issues that her dad disappeared when she was younger. There you go. These stereotypes are dead on the money a lot of the times. And your uncle deserves, you should have walked in and whipped his ass. He had it coming. And he's not going to want to admit that his nephew beat the crap out of him. People always say, who's worse in a situation like this, the girl or the relative? Well, the uncle, absolutely, because he's your uncle. But she's a piece of crap, too. Anyhow, says I caught them fooling around one of the stalls. They noticed me almost right away, and they began apologizing, but I just stormed out. Good. Don't hang around and listen to their bullshit. I didn't know what to do anymore at that moment. I had so many regrets and a heartbreak. Thoughts like I should have broken up with her during our college years, and I'm a failure as a man for getting cheated on, ran through my mind. Bro, you're not a failure for that, because there's plenty of guys out there that are successes, and still awful things like this happen to them. It's not your fault. Yes, you should have broken up with her a long time ago. We will all agree there. But no, you're not a failure. It says, my uncle tried to buy my forgiveness, and Sam really tried to stay in contact with me and get me to forgive her, but I just shut her out of the world and mindlessly, and I just focused on my job. Good, you're focusing on your purpose. That's what you should be doing at that time, not getting engaged at such an early age and being with this girl. And it sounds like to me, I mean, you were with this girl forever, so she became your whole world. So even though she was treating you like crap and there was drama and turmoil, you just didn't know any other life without her. And that's the problem when guys get so committed to some chick so early on, and instead of making her, she can be someone you can have fun with, but your main priority is your purpose. And then your then working out, then your bros. She's dead last. But what happens when the guy makes the girl his number one priority? That doesn't go very well. And they end up allowing all this bad treatment of them because they can't handle being alone and don't know anything else. But glad you cut her out, and I'm also glad you cut your uncle out. It says, because my uncle was wealthy and the main provider for my family, no one really sided with me. Instead, they pushed me to forgive him and just forget about Sam. Him and Sam did not stop dating, though. They went public as soon as I moved out of our apartment and just made me depressed. Freaking lowlives. However, because I was so focused on my job, my manager noticed my efforts and gave me the opportunity to be transferred to a branch on the other side of town, further away from the drama. I accepted and just poured myself into my new job as an investment manager and saved rigorously with the hopes to just leave the country behind and start somewhere else new. Investment manager, that's awesome, bro. See? Now that she is out of the picture, you're focusing on your purpose, your grind, and your boss noticed this, and now you're moving up in the world. This is why at that age, guys, your purpose, your ambitions, whatever it is that whatever line of work you want to pursue that you're really interested, that should be your number one focus, not some chick. And look what happened when he started making his job, which he obviously liked a lot, his main priority. Boom. He's busting his butt. He's moving up. It's what you all should be doing at that age. Well, let's be honest, any age. He says, that dream did not last, and soon I was making new friends and eventually a new life for myself. One day, I just took a good hard look at myself and realized I was financially comfortable, and whatever was left of my old life was erased. You moved on. Good for you. It can be done, guys. It's hard, but it can be done. My parents had passed away after college, and my extended family sided with my scumbag uncle, so I was literally all alone. It was sad and a harrowing realization, but I kept looking forward to a brighter future for myself. I'm sorry to hear about your parents, man, and that your uncle, everybody sided with him because he's rich and they're using him, but at the end of the day, that's always going to be good for. So, but I've said before, guys, in many videos that at the end of the day, it's better to be alone than to be around people that you can't trust or are going to try to use you or take advantage of you or devious or any ugly traits like that. It is far better to be completely alone than have people around you that are shit. Or have maybe 2 really good friends that you're close with than 100 people that, maybe have fun with, but you can never really trust them, or there can be drama or things like that. So he's starting fresh. He's his own man, his own life. Anyhow, he says, a few years passed and I haven't heard from Sam or my uncle. The only thing I knew was that she married him. Daddy issues. Well, guys, watch what happens to little old Sam. I've been dating around, but swore never to have anything serious. After what happened with Sam, and I'm done with relationships in general. Nobody could blame you, amigo. The pandemic hit, and I got my first taste of karma. My uncle had been caught embezzling money from businesses, and soon after that, his fortune had dwindled. He was still rich, though, but not as rich as he was before. A third-party accounting firm had caught him taking vaccine funds, but he was able to avoid jail time, but I know he took a big hit financially. Well, that scumbag should be behind bars, but he obviously had enough money and influence that he was able to use that to obviously get out of it. And guys like that will just find other ways to make money and make it back in time. I thought that was it, and that was his karma, but oh boy, karma was just getting started. Recently, this past January, I've been getting notes and letters from Sam. I'm not sure how she found me, but she was begging to get in contact with me. They always come back, guys, especially when they're running out of options and need to find that nice guy who they burned in the past. Because their assumption is that nice guy will always take me back. But not this guy. He says, the sirens have been going. I've been doing videos here, and the sirens keep going and going and going. I don't know what the hell is going on around this place today. It's like 70 degrees outside. Everybody's acting crazy because it's February. Freak warm weather day. I'm not sure how she found me, but she was begging to get in contact with me. I ignored and threw most of her attempts in the trash. But just the other day at work, she showed up as I was heading home. Freaking psycho. They're relentless, guys. I mainly work from home, but I need to occasionally go into our building and do some internal checks. Sam had been waiting there, and she's broken into tears when she saw me. The age-old breaking down and crying, the crocodile tears. If nothing else works, the tears always work. I just froze in place when I saw her. I didn't budge at all. She again begged if we could speak, and without really thinking about it, I agreed. Smack. She's out of your life, man. Don't let her bring more shit into your life. We talked in my car, and she told me that my uncle had gotten a 17-year-old student pregnant, and she's trying to keep her mouth shut about it. Imagine that. Uncle can't keep his hands to himself. Now he's on to a 17-year-old. Last time I checked, that should be illegal. He says here, Sam's life was in shambles. She says she regrets throwing away our relationship and had made a mistake with getting involved with my uncle. Oh, now she's sorry now that uncle, obviously, financial troubles because he's a criminal. And also now he get knocked up a 17-year-old. So now she wants to get back with this guy, and her life's in shambles. Now she wants him realize how good of a guy he was. Well, too little, too late, honey. When she discovered my uncle's affair, he had her on home arrest. Okay. She's afraid to get lawyers involved as my uncle has a solid legal team and would destroy her in court. Sam didn't know what to do or who to turn to, so she hired someone to find me and left her home, but has no idea what to do once she saw me again. I didn't feel joy or any positive emotions while listening to Sam's story. I felt nothing. I just told her that I didn't want anything to do with her now. Sam pleaded that she couldn't go back and had nowhere to go. Tough shit. Not my problem. You had a great thing going with me. I put up with a lot of your BS and was there for you. We were together for years, but nope. You had to go hook up with my uncle. Too bad. Figure it out. You're a strong, empowered woman. Remember, she's an Ethanist. She can figure it out. I reluctantly brought her to my condo unit, smack, but immediately regretted my decision. Do not take her back to your place, man. As we were entering the building to my condo, I had told her to wait for me in the lobby. I wasn't sure what to do with her. I knew this was my chance to be a good human being and have some empathy, but instead, I called one of my cousins and informed him about Sam's location. Soon one of my relatives came to collect her and return her to my uncle. This is sounding a little straight. Return her to your uncle and her being under house arrest. Dude, what's your uncle's real line of work? We're all thinking this. And what part of the world are you from? I'm not sure what I did was right or wrong, but I don't want her to ruin my life again. I have a good thing going right now, and everything about her just brings pain and regret. If you're reading this, thank you, SSM. Any advice, input would be nice as well. Well, here's my advice. Don't ever invite her back to your place again. But bro, you did a good job moving on. I told in the beginning the mistakes you're making, enabling her behavior, she's telling you all these things you got to do. And don't get me wrong, her telling you, saying work out and lose some weight, that's not a bad thing. I mean, you should, if you had to lose 20 pounds, it's good you did, and work out and work on yourself in terms of the job and making money and all. That's all good. But the point was you were being compliant with her. She was being a big pain in the ass, stirring all this drama up, and you were just being obedient. And guess what? Women are attracted to guys that are compliant and obedient and act like, yes, ma'am. No. And the girl was messed up. And you could see it with like her, I don't know why I'm angry with you, and other bullshit like that. She had issues. You should have cut her loose. But she was, you made her your whole world at that point in time. That's what it sounds like. And that's what a lot of guys do. And that's why I say it's a mistake. Man's purpose should be his number one thing in life. Then the gym and his body. Then his bros. Then his family. Then the cat and the dog. Then her. All right? You can have time for your girl, have a good time, but she's the bottom of the list of priorities. This is why guys get in so much trouble when they make them the top priority. And then when the girl starts treating them like crap, because guess what? They're turned off by a guy who makes them their top priority. The guy just can't break away because that's all he knows. And you got burned really badly. I'm sorry it happened, but you moved on, which is awesome. A lot of guys would have wallowed, maybe taken her back or done some BS like that. No, you moved on and got out of there and you focused on your career. Now you're doing well, so good for you. So don't feel bad for, sending her back to your uncle, however that was worded. That's her problem. She's a grown-ass woman. She made her choice. And again, she, as you said, she's an Ethanist, so she's strong and empowered woman, so she ought to be able to handle herself just fine. But I'd have nothing to do with that anymore. You're your own man, make your own fortune and all that, and who knows what's going to happen to your uncle, but sounds like everybody's using him because that's all he's worth. So, the hell with him. But anyhow, bro, good story here. Guys will enjoy it. I'm glad to hear that in the end, you got to have the last laugh, seeing her coming back begging you for a second chance. And remember, she's only back with you because things didn't work out with the uncle. If he wasn't cheating on her and there wasn't any scandals going on with him, criminal activity, you think she would have showed up? No. Nuh-uh. She came to you because she ran out of options. But you got to enjoy the last laugh, and I get to enjoy hearing that, and all the brothers out there around the world got to enjoy that too. So, all right, guys, that's it for today. Be sure to comment down below. Let me just think about this. Let this guy know what you think about his story. And be sure to like the video, share with your friends, and subscribe. And I'll catch you next time.